Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tulio Surgusa with Dojo Live. Today is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. It's the middle of September already, guys. And I'm joined by Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, and Carlos Ponce in Cuernavaca, Mexico. Hi, guys. Welcome back.
Good to be here.
Today, our guest is Gary Goldberg, who is the founder and CEO at SquadLocker. And we're going to be talking about sports and sports tech. But before we go into that conversation, let's get to know our guest a little bit. Gary, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to the audience. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. So yes, my name is Gary Goldberg, father of three, happily married guy who lives in Providence, Rhode Island, grew up a third generation textile chemist and engineer. And, sailing is a pastime of mine and raising kids, and my Doberman Luna, which Carlos and I had a quick conversation about pre-show, that he does not like dogs, but I am a dog person. So I think it's important to get that on the record.
Yeah, well, Carlos is the only one who doesn't like dogs on this team. We all like dogs. So you're in good company, Gary.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Tell us a little bit about SquadLocker. What gave birth to this idea? What is it that you guys do?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So SquadLocker is it's two things. It's multiple things, but really at its core, both my wife and I, in raising our three children, saw the impact that coaches, teachers, and mentors had on the quality of our lives and the quality of our children's lives and their ability to reach their full potential. And while we were raising our kids, we were putting them in youth sports. And as they're having those great, participation events and mentoring and coaching times with their leaders, the actual ability for us to buy uniforms and decorated apparel was similar to what I experienced in the 70s. You'd go to a store, you'd place an order, and you'd wait 4 to 6 weeks to get what it is you ordered. And I started imagining a way to do it much more like what my wife was using to purchase things for the house. So using the internet, buying things as if it was on Amazon, or buying things as if the, groceries were being delivered. And so I started imagining a world where we could give time back to the coaches and mentors to reinvest in the children by making it easier for them to allow their community members to buy what they needed to participate in the events they were signing up for. And so that was kind of the birth of SquadLocker. That was the concept. Make it super fast, super flexible, and on demand to buy whatever it is you need, whenever it is you need it.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, let's see what we can learn. Let's dig in a little bit and introduce the topic. Carlos, I think, will you kindly introduce the topic today?
Sure, of course. Thank you, Tulio. Well, today, Gary, the topic as chosen by you is disrupting youth sports through technology. So we're going to be discussing how to question and reimagine outdated processes and bring an innovation lens to any industry. So first question that I have for you, Gary, is why did you choose this particular topic and why did you feel it was relevant for today's day and age?
So I chose it really around the why as opposed to the what. And the why for us is, growing up in the world today is a remarkably complex experience. And you don't need to, look very far to understand how complex the world is. You can turn on the TV, you can go into relative neighborhoods, and you can see what's going on. And so how do we make the world less complex, or how do we let young people grow up in a world and reach their full potential? Well, it takes a village, and also takes mentors, teachers, and coaches. And while at SquadLocker, we'd love the ability to go and coach every kid on our own, we can't. But what we can do is figure out ways to give those coaches, teachers, and mentors and schools and leagues more time back by simplifying the process of ordering uniforms and decorated apparel. And so really our why is, well, geez, if we can give one coach back 10 minutes, if we can give one league back 2 hours of volunteers, and then they take that time and reinvest it in some young children to have a conversation about what's going on in their life, or how they can be a better performer, or how they can build their own self-esteem. incrementally, can SquadLocker really change the course of humanity? Can we make the world a happier, better, more productive place? And so that's why we chose it. That's why I chose it. That's why we get up every day and do what we do. Now, there's lots of things around that we can get into about textiles and static old world processes versus new world technologies and disruptions and how did we make it work. But at the core, that's why, because of what I saw happen with my kids and other kids who are being properly mentored.
I see. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gary. Okay. Well, Kim, you got I think you had a question.
Yeah. First of all, I apologize. My connectivity got here late. Perhaps you already answered this question in the few minutes that I was missing. But Gary, I'm interested in what is or was the traditional old school method of purchasing sports gear versus what you're doing differently today. How has that shifted? And if you could kind of tell that story.
This is my favorite exploration topic because it's one that I've invested, 10 years of my life in and thousands of hours and raised of millions of dollars to bring this idea to life. But if you think about the way the world was before SquadLocker, you would have multiple people purchasing things that were required. And what would happen is they'd all get aggregated into what we call here internally a batch order. So Kim, you place your order. Carlos, you place your order. Tulio, you place your order. Max and I place our orders, and they're collectively brought in together and executed at the same time in what's called a batch process. And that's multi-head embroidery or multi-screen screen printing. They typically have complex setups and minimum runs. And as a result, servicing those people took a long time to get as many orders in as you needed, to set up the equipment, to buy all the raw materials. And so at SquadLocker, it's like, well, how do we change that? How do we make that more of an on-demand process? And so I compare it to a soft serve ice cream machine, right? I want to put a dish out and I want to pull the handle. And if I want chocolate, I get chocolate. If I want strawberry, I want strawberry. If I want a small, medium, whatever I want, I just want to pull the handle and get it. Well, how do I make that SquadLocker? How do I make it? I pull the handle and I get one hat for your team. Then I get one jersey for your team. Then I get the pants for your team. Then I get whatever it is I need on demand. And really, that's what we've been able to build at SquadLocker through some really interesting proprietary software technology and some really interesting textile chemistry and engineering work that we've done. We've effectively removed minimum orders for productivity or production. So at SquadLocker, we can make one of anything at any time for anyone.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a total reinvention of a supply chain that had been the same since our parents and our grandparents bought things.
So I go to Five Guys for the burgers. My daughter goes to Five Guys because she likes to play around with the Coca-Cola machine. So essentially SquadLocker is that Coca-Cola machine. I'm like, I want Coke, but give me peach or vanilla or whatever, right? So that's fantastic. And this makes me think of just my own experience here at Ancora, Mexico. We do an annual sort of yearbook. We collect what we've achieved and events that we've had. And I remember when I was doing the purchasing for this, I was shocked, and it made sense, I guess, shocked to find out that really the quantity of what I ordered, whether I was going to buy 100 or 500, didn't change much, because what I was actually paying for was the templates of them to be able to print what it is that we're printing. So basically, you're saying the template doesn't matter. Like, I'll give you what you want.
That's right. So like your
How
daughter,
does this work?
So like your daughter standing in front of the Coca-Cola machine, the creativity of the potential outcomes is limitless. So it's only limited by the needs of the community that's using SquadLocker. So if somebody said, we want to be the butterflies, we want to be the butterflies with dragon wings, we want to be purple, we want to be orange, there is no limit in the creativity or the outcomes that we can make. And the way it works is we're using very advanced digital textile technologies to come up with finished products that were traditionally made using silk screen printing. And it's a quite complex, challenging problem around particularly moisture management, polyester fibers and fabrics, which are very difficult to do on a single unit basis. It's more common to do cotton and cotton blended fabrics, but to do the authentic on the field moisture management polyester fabrics is quite complex. So we've been busy. We've been working hard. And we've also developed a whole suite of tools that create collaborative online experiences for multi-level communities. So you could have a board that runs a league or a manager of a school who in turn creates rules of logo use and brands that they can have the coaches and teachers choose what they want in their stores. The young participants can come in and work on the logos, and that whole process can become collaborative on an online experience. So there's a lot of front end software that faces the community. And there's also a really, really cool back end fulfillment system that's connected to it that's always on 24/7. That's the magic SquadLocker. And as a result, I mean, we're growing, significantly. I mean, we've had 5 years of consecutive growth. We even grew during COVID, which was kind of a wild experience based on the fact that half of the population wasn't participating in anything.
Gary, you told us that we're discussing also how to question and reimagine outdated processes, right? And we're talking about innovation lens to any industry. So, what other industries could you give us an example about that where we can apply this principle of questioning and reimagining outdated processes and bring innovation to the playing field?
There's lots of them, right? The ones that I like are the ones that make physical goods as opposed to just using software to change behaviors and moving data and moving value. I really like the physical world. My ultimate hero is clearly Elon Musk. I have a Tesla. I have the Tesla 3. It's remarkably affordable. Everybody says you have a Tesla. My goodness, you must have spent $100,000 on this car. No, go online and see what it costs. It's the same as a Toyota Camry or something like that, right? But I mean, this guy completely reinvented and reimagined what a car is. I mean, the most ubiquitous, common thing on earth is the motor vehicle. And my car has nothing to do with everybody else's car or the other cars that I've owned. It's an incredible experience from safety, from entertainment, from exhilaration. It completely reimagined what a car could be. And I can't wait to get in it every day to have my 17-minute drive to work. I want to be in it all the time. He completely reframed the expectation of the use of the object and the potential, what the object can do in a world where it didn't need to be reinvented. I feel the same way about SquadLocker. I look at SquadLocker and we're often challenging the marketplace with inventions or services that the marketplace doesn't even know could exist or would want to exist. But yet when we expose them, our users are like, wow, this is really cool. Check this out. That becomes the challenge, Carlos, is to understand how you imagine what doesn't exist, but can add great value, efficiency, or excitement to the marketplace. And that takes imagination, creativity, and a culture of acceptance of constant failure and reinvention. So it's a messy, messy space.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Thank you, Gary.
quite an interesting trend. You're probably the third or fourth guest where we saw the movement from manufacturing, leveraging outsourced manufacturing, which requires bulk orders, et cetera, right? They have their fixed limitation, to bringing some of those things in house while leveraging new technology, disrupting the market. But we had a fashion company on here, we had another e-commerce company on here that would manufacturing their own products in order for them to be able to deliver these values, just like you guys are doing. Are you seeing? Are you going to? Do you think that's a trend that's difficult for some investors to catch on to, or is that becoming more of a norm today as companies like yourself are starting to have success with owning your own ecosystem? Essentially, you're doing the selling, you're doing the distribution, and the manufacturing all in house. What's that been like in terms of getting investors on board or banks on board to understand why you're going in that direction?
It's a great question. You're getting to the core of the heartbeat of the financial heartbeat of our company. Investors look at companies like ours based on a couple key principles. One is, what does it cost SquadLocker to acquire a customer? 2, how many of them are in your universe? What is the TAM? What is the total addressable market? And what is your CAC, customer acquisition cost? Then can you tell me what is your LTV, your lifetime value of the customers that you acquire? How many do you keep, and how long do you keep them for, and how much do they spend with you? And then the most important, or one of the equally most important things, is how much gross margin can you generate when they buy $1 worth of product from you? When you put that in the blender, you get your return on customer acquisition over the lifetime value based on your gross margin. And an investor can say, so if I give you $1, in 3 years, you can give me back $2.86 or $1.30 or whatever the number is. That outcome number of that equation is, if it's a good number, is very exciting. So in order to be able to discuss the value of the company, it's upon us. Our obligation is to be able to be transparent, accurate, and defensible about the numbers that we use in the equation I just gave you. Prove to me your TAM. Prove to me your customer acquisition cost. Show me your data attribution of when you're getting these customers, where they're coming from. Show me that they continue to buy over time. What is your gross margin? Let me look at your P&L. So our organizational structure has been one that we're conquering and dividing those key elements so that when they come together, the enterprise is more and more valuable. And I hope that addressed your question, Tulio, because
Yeah, love it.
that was a generic answer for our industry. I can talk to you about how SquadLocker fits in with that, how we think about those things, but that is the general answer.
Yeah, I just love the idea that, in essence, manufacturing's being reinvented. The idea of pushing things somewhere else because of the large volume capacity, technology is enabling that to be a thing of the past. It's not as a valid point as it used to be.
And
Kim,
Tulio,
I think you have. Go ahead.
well, I would add to that. Textiles has been traditionally a long supply chain. Yarn, weaving or knitting, dyeing, cutting and sewing, importation from low labor cost country, stocking shelves, replenishing on 60 to 90 day lead times. Right now, what it's converting to is mass customization. Whatever it is I want it to look the way I want it to look for my unique circumstances, whether it's a window curtain or a carpet that I need in the color that I chose 3 days from now, or a t-shirt or a uniform for a sports team or a dress. Whatever it is, I want it, and I want it fast, and I want it my way. You can't do that with the traditional textile supply chains that have fed mass retail for the last 25 or 30 years. It's not going to work.
Brilliant. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you might be able to do it if you're rich enough. Which enter SquadLocker. So I'm curious about one of the metrics you mentioned a couple minutes ago, and the lifetime value, how often your customers come back. I imagine this one's very high for you. What I'm envisioning is perhaps those teams or those participants who would like a uniform, but maybe haven't had the opportunity to get that customized, or even at all, because let's talk about, I don't know, the chess team. We're 7 members versus the 80, 100 person marching band. So how are you impacting the chess teams of the world? How are you able to get those individuals involved in that same school spirit? Is that something that you're able to accomplish with SquadLocker?
Kim, you've touched on a key differentiator about SquadLocker, one that is very personal to us, because diversity, equity, and inclusion is clearly a breakthrough moment in time in the human race right now. And so we would ask any community the following question: why does one group of participants deserve a different quality of experience versus another group of participants, simply based on participant quantity or count? It doesn't sound inclusive, and it doesn't sound like it's driving equity. SquadLocker has the ability to be installed in institutions like schools, where we can create what we call an online department store. And because of our single unit manufacturing, the chess team can be treated like the women's softball team, like the men's football team. So traditionally, in many of those communities, the vendor purchasing relationship was highly skewed towards athletics, and in athletics, the high volume athlete athletics. And because of the long supply chains, they would be pre-booking large orders and delivering them 60, 90, 100 days later and getting big discounts. What SquadLocker has done is come in and say, install our software, use it across your organization. And if the robotics team has 3 kids in it, let them experience their own identity and joy of the own celebration of their identity, just like any other group on campus. And for us, that's cool for 2 reasons. One, we're unleashing demand that was pent up and unsatisfied historically. So we're growing the marketplace. But equally and more importantly, for a guy who really wasn't a great varsity athlete in high school, and I can identify with kids in the chess team, I was the photo guy for all the sports, right? So for me, it's like, wait a minute, I can look, act, and feel like my identity is equally valuable because I have access to the same materials and opportunities as the other kids. And so for us, it's an equalizer. Now go back to our why, right? Does this fit our why? It certainly does. I want those kids to have the same self-esteem as any other child. So yeah, we're going to help the chess team, and we're going to help the robotics team. We're going to help the drama club, and we're going to help the bird watchers club, or whatever it is, regardless of 1 kid or 2,000 kids. And so you hit a nerve, Kim.
I love that. And at a price point that they can do that at, right? Which we've been talking about throughout this show. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly they're smaller groups get locked out, right? They don't have the volume purchasing power, or so. And also, it's not just about the money; it's also speed and personalization. It's amazing. So the way you're structured in terms of, let's say, a school adopts the technology and they have numerous different gear, whether it's football, basketball, the chess team, what have you. Is it only available through the purchasing or the procurement office, or can individuals go in and just order something for themselves? How is it set up now? Is it a B2B model, or do you also enable the school, for example, to open it up to parents or students who might want to order, fan gear, if you will?
Yeah.
How's it set up?
So it is exactly the way you've described it. We think of our model as a B2B2C. We're acquiring decision makers to service consumers or community members. So you, Tulio, would be the administrator of a sports league, youth sports league, or you, Tulio, would be the head of marketing and student affairs at a school. We would work with you to help find the constituents in the school that need their stores created. Chess club, drama club, whatever it is. Student uniform, or required student uniform, or a PE uniform that every kid has to buy. And so now, once we've built those e-commerce sites all interconnected in this department store format on a consolidated landing page where they're all accessible from one single location, anybody in the community can go on and buy what they want and have it delivered directly to their home. Additionally, the school can buy prepaid vouchers so that if a kid's on tuition remission, or the staff needs to have something delivered to them, but the school wants to pay for it, there's less of an awkward experience of, we'll go to the school office and pick up your thing, but everybody else bought theirs and had it delivered to home. So now we can give, scholarship funds to children who want the same experience that the other members of the community are having as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Another equalizer.
Equalizer, right? So
Brilliant.
It really is B2B. Work with administrators to allow the community to purchase what they need, when they need it, how they want it.
Love it.
So in this model with the communities, do you have any of these success stories? Let's talk to the heart now. Have you seen just overall school spirit, a sense of unity? How has SquadLocker been able to impact these communities in a positive way? Do you have a story to share?
Yeah, I would say in the aggregate, we have, I think right now, over 300,000 active administrators using our platform to build stores for their communities. So in the aggregate, we think we're doing a lot of good work. When you get down to the fractions, there's dozens and dozens of stories of, kids getting their uniform and opening it up in their house and feeling the pride and excitement. There are, many of our administrators tell us how much time they're saving, how much easier their lives are, how much less stress there is in their organization or in their parents. and really getting back to what their original intention was, which was to enjoy their time with the children, do the mentoring, doing the coaching. So, I mean, we hear about it. We see it every day. If you want, you can go to trustpilot.com and look up SquadLocker and see some of the comments. I mean, there's some really, really cool stories about people just coming in and sharing them right there on Trustpilot.
Gary, we are approaching the final segment of today's conversation. I wouldn't want to end it without asking you about the company culture in general, because we might have viewers out there who could be watching, might want to come work for you at some point. What would you say to these people, to these folks who you want to reel in because you know that they're great talent? And what would you tell to these people that might want to come work for you about the company
if somebody wants to come work for me and they think that that's something they want to do, first of all, I would say thank you. Thank you for considering us. I'm flattered, and I want to meet you, and I want to know about what makes you tick. Our company culture is one, and I've just recently put out an article. It's on my LinkedIn profile. The concept is, high EQ, using EQ to drive company culture and effectively leading with love. We have an expression here: we love teams, and the best team that we have is the team at SquadLocker. And if you look at it, we do work with love as an ingredient to drive our own cultural success. What does that mean? Well, that can be broken down into a variety of different leadership segments. We have a leadership quadrant wheel that we talk about, respect and empathy, or, respect for people, places, and things, discipline, doing it the right way every time, integrity, doing the right thing when no one's looking, and then, the empathy piece, which is, are you really listening to hear, or are you listening to get ready to talk? Can I understand what it is that you need to share with me from a personal perspective? And so our culture is one of great autonomy, great challenge, because look, we're doing so many new things all the time that there's a lot to do here. So I would say to you, are you ready for the challenge? Because SquadLocker is a challenging place. However, do you want to be in an organization that really uses emotional quotient as a way to really understand from its leadership what's important to you as a person, and how do we value you, and how give you an opportunity to express your value and interest in an organization that you can really lean into? I would say that's our culture.
Great.
Amazing.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be part of that?
Well,
God.
come on up. We can go to squadlocker.com/careers, and we have a lot of different openings right now.
Amazing. Well, we're up on time, but we wouldn't want to miss out in asking a final question about what's your journey been like building this personally for you? What have you learned about yourself?
Boy, that's do you have a case of wine in 40 hours? That's not a final question, Julia.
Sure.
Sure.
What did I learn about myself? I think I've learned the same thing that many people learn as they mature, that I have tremendous limitations and tremendous personal talents. And the better I am at identifying those as quickly as possible and focusing on my talents and finding great leaders and teammates around me that can accommodate my limitations, the more successful I can become. That is what I've learned. Now, the other thing is, it's bumpy road growing a fast-paced, tech-driven company. There is a tremendous amount of success coupled with great cavernous failures, succeeded by tremendous leaps of success, right? So it's not for the faint of heart, but I would have never done it any other way. And it's been a remarkably, and continues to be a remarkably rewarding experience, primarily because of the way we're changing the market, helping the consumers, and also the culture here is cool, and I'm seeing great people accomplish great things in their careers and really grow as individuals. So that's, I love it. I love everything.
Amazing. It's been a real pleasure to have you as our guest. We've learned a lot, and it's amazing to also hear from companies that take care of people, that value the connection, the human connection, the human element of running a business. Thanks for being with us today. Stay with us as we go off the air in a few minutes. Carlos, what do we got coming up for the rest of the week? We got one more show tomorrow?
Yeah, we have one more show, Tulio, and that's going to be with Pete Harvey and Sirsha Sadek, the CTO and head of growth, respectively, at Proco AI. The topic, building a fearless team from scratch. That's what we're going to be having for the rest of the week. Well, it's just one more show tomorrow right here on Dojo Live, 12 p.m. Pacific, folks. Don't miss it. And remember, be safe. And thank you.
Thank you.